Yo guys, so I think today's topic right is going to be quite interesting because I'll be covering what actually happened on Chuan Park's booking day and also what to expect for Emerald of Katong as well. And just a small tip, right? If today you already get your ballot number and it's pretty good, don't be surprised if the 2 bidders and 3 bidders are actually sold out before your turn. So I'll go through more of this in the later part of the video. So stay tuned. And right, I also know you guys have been following me for a while, so do know that my videos actually take a lot of time and effort to research and then put up as well. So I do hope that you guys at least leave me a like and subscribe, so at least this video right can reach out to more people and are able to help more people as well. Alright, thanks. Okay, so right now we'll look at Chuan Park, what happened on the booking day. So right now, this is the newspaper article. We have Chuan Park selling 76% and an average price of 2579 PSF. And then you can see over here, we have a total of 916 units and we are looking at an impressive 701 units sold. Of course, this is only at the actual launch day. As of now, I already know that there's additional units being sold now. Yeah, but right now, it's just looking at 701 for the actual launch day itself. Okay, so does everyone remember this guide price being set up by the developer for Chuan Park? Okay, you see here, 2 bedrooms, 700 square feet, we are looking at starting from 1.5 million. 2 plus study, 732, 1.6 million. 915 square feet, starting from 2.1 million. 4 bedders, 1335 square feet, starting from 3.1, and then 5 bedrooms, 1550, and starting from 3.7 million. So right now, I want to show you right what happened on the actual day in terms of pricing, which took a lot of people by surprise, because I think a lot of people going into this Chuan Park booking day right with the intention that it's gonna be somewhat close to the booking price, I mean the indicative price. So I think this caught many people by surprise because in the end right, the majority of the prices, let's say for the 2 bedrooms, they were in the 1.7 million range already. It was totally unexpected for most of the units because I think a lot of people, maybe they thought like the smaller one they could get at 1.6 million range, maybe 1.7 range, but quite a bit of them was in the 1.7 to 1.8 onwards already. There's not much unit in the 1.6 for the smaller 2-bedder, and the bigger 2 plus study right was also 1.7, 1.8 onwards. So I think today we'll be going through with you guys on what was the actual price list that was released on the actual day. Okay, so this was the price list that was launched by the developer. So we look at 2 bedroom first. So you see right, for stack 1, 2 plus study. Okay, so this one was at starting from 1.699. So you see right, the indicative of 1.6x really might as well you just take 1.7 million. There's no difference. Alright, so as we go down, you see starting from 1.699, then there's only 2 units in the 1.7 range. Subsequently, it was all in 1.8 and above already. So you can see the jump here from the cheapest to the 4th level, right? We are already looking at almost a 120k jump. And now we look at stack 2. You see stack 2 totally don't have anything in the 1.7 range. It was 1.8 onwards. Stack 6, 2 plus study, 1.8 onwards. We have a second floor unit at 1.789, then everything else was 1.8 onwards. Then this one I think was the cheapest 2 bedroom, 0209, starting from 1.599 million. So I would say it's almost 1.6 million already. And the price jump between second to third floor was about 130k difference. So I would say the person that bought the second floor one, big whats, because this is very very big price jump already. Then following onwards right, you see for the other 2 bedrooms, quite a bit of them was in the 1.7 range for the smaller 2 bedders. Then after that, we'll be closing in on the higher floors, we'll be looking at 1.9 million. Stack 10, 1.75 to 1.9. Stack 13, 1.86 all the way until 2 million range. 2 million range over here. Okay, stack 17, 1.86 and then all the way until 2 million. Stack 18, 1.86 all the way until 2 million. Stack 19, we have about 1.8 something all the way until 2 million. And yeah, generally for the 2 plus study, it was in this range already. So I think it caught a lot of people by surprise. Even for the normal 2 bedroom sizes in the 700 square feet, right? I think a lot of people was banging in they could able to lock in a few units, 1.6 million, but unfortunately I think it was only a handful of units, less than 5 or even less than 10 units. So maybe you want to share in the comment section to let me know if what the developer did was actually steady or not lah, you know, because from what I see, right, I feel like it was a bit baity, yeah, but at the same time the developers are businessmen, so they have the right to actually have a few units only in the indicative. Then after that, they will just price it higher already. Because if you think about it, right, today if you're a developer and you know that you have 900 plus units to sell, and you have over 2,000 plus checks, of course you are willing, you're going to price it higher. So I think this is going to be quite important, because I want you to imagine if today you are Simlian, which is the developer for Emerald of Katong, how would you price your unit if you already know that the oversubscription from the checks is going to be quite high? Okay, then now we look at the 3 bedrooms. So the 3 bedrooms, right? You see, so the prices for the 3 bedrooms, just now we said was about starting from 2.1 something. So stack 3, 2.5 to 2.7. 2.7. Stack 4, we have a 2.4 range to 2.7, which is over here. Stack 5, 2.4 range to 2.6 range. So stack 7 is the slightly cheaper one. Stack 7, 2.2 range and then up to 2.5. So the cheapest that I see right now, right, is 2.199 million, and this is second floor for stack 8. So definitely there's only one unit in the 2.1 range. I don't see anything else. And then this one is majority is in the 2.2 range, and then we are looking at about 2.4, 2.5 million for the top floor unit. So yeah, around there lah. So basically you know that 3 bedrooms for the smaller ones, only one unit was in the 2.199 range. The rest was in the 2.2, and in the 2.2 there wasn't even much units. Majority was still in the 2.3 million range. Okay, and now we look at the 4 and 5 bedrooms. So look at the 4 bedrooms, right? You see the cheapest one I could see was actually 3.199 million already. So majority of them, same thing, 3.2 onwards, and majority is still in the 3.3 range lah. Yeah, really not much in the 3.1 range. Only got 1 or 2 units only. Yeah, so this is for the 4 bedrooms. You see up to 3.6 million. 5 bedrooms, we are looking from 3.7 all the way to 4.2 million range. Yeah, so that's it for the prices for the units for the VVIP. So just now I just show you the entire price list for the VVIP and the priority queue people, and you compare it to the attractive indicative guide price, right? I think it's kind of off, but to each his own. The fact that developer actually priced it this way and it was still 76% sold, I would say definitely there's a lot of very rich Singaporeans still looking around for properties, and especially quality properties that let's say in the Lorong Chuan area that is near MRT, that hasn't had a supply for them for a very very long time. So definitely most of these buyers here are looking at own stay purposes and not really investment per se. So I think in my previous video last week, I did talk about Jadescape versus Season View, because it was a similar scenario when you compare Chuan Park to the units at the resale condos nearby Lorong Chuan area. So from what I did for my client was that we already determined that Jadescape paid 63% more than the surrounding older condos over there. And for Seasons View, it was TOP I think around year 2000. So the gap was about 18 years already. And we are looking at a 63% price gap. So in today's market, we are still looking at a 50+% gap. And definitely with my calculation for the premium over the Chuan Park for the resale condos nearby, right, I think this definitely will help a lot in your decision making. So my client was actually quite firm on their price, because we didn't know what was a good price to pay for Chuan Park and what price to walk away. So I think if you are looking at the indicative price alone to make your decision, right, it will be quite a poor metric of a way to determine what is a good entry price or what is the price to walk away. So having this set of frameworks in, right, I think my client was quite zai lah, in the sense like they didn't feel priced out or didn't feel FOMO. It was expected and well within whatever they were prepared for. Alright, so I think this part is going to be quite interesting, because I want you guys to comment down in the comment section how much you think the developers will be launching at for Emerald of Katong after the developers already see how well Chuan Park did, selling at 76% at 2.5 PSF average. So it was like 2.576 PSF on average. So Do let me know in the comment section how many percent do you think Emerald of Katong will be sold. And second thing is, how much average PSF do you think Emerald of Katong will be launching at? My personal guess, I feel like based on the number of checks, which is around 3,000 plus, even if we minus off 700 units from the purchases at Chuan Park, right? I'm expecting maybe about close to 3,000 checks for Emerald of Katong alone. And how much PSF do you think the developers will be launching at? So my personal take is, with 3,000 checks, right, we have even lesser units than Chuan Park. We only have 800 plus units here. So I expect Emerald of Katong to be selling out about 70% to 80% range, and even if the PSF average is in the 2006 to 2007 PSF, right, I am still expecting this kind of sales performance in the 70% to 80% range. So do let me know in the comment section what you guys feel, and let's see who is closer to the actual percentage sold, and also how much PSF the developer actually priced at for the launch day itself. I'll be looking forward to that. Okay, so back to the topic itself. So over here, right, we can see this is Emerald of Katong's indicative pricing from 1.2 all the way to 3.5x. So we hope they won't do something like Chuan Park, which is only one unit, and they will actually the developer will actually give our buyers a chance to actually get a good price. But this is definitely subject to developer. If today, right, I mean, you ask yourself, right, do you think the developer will actually price it cheap, or they will still price it higher? Because what the developer at Chuan Park did, they actually price it average 2579, right? And they still sell 76%. So I think that was a very, very strong performance. And it does say a lot about our current market buyers sentiment in the market. Okay, so will Emerald of Katong be selling below this PSF? I think this is a question they need to ask yourself. How today, right, if you are a developer, how would you actually price Emerald of Katong? So one more thing is, this is why I mentioned just now, right, at the start. Today we have a total of 3629 checks. So even if we minus the 700 units that was transacted at Chuan Park, we'll be still looking at 2,900 checks. So out of these 2,900 checks, right, actually there is 592 that is in the VVIP, VIP, priority queue, bulk purchase, or even agent purchase. So this one, right, what would this mean? Even if you are in the normal queue, your queue number 1, you are already behind 592 people. So you will be essentially 593 if you're in the normal queue. So that's why I say, right, if today you are expecting a cheap 2-bedroom and 3-bedroom, so usually I'm quite optimistic one. But when I look at the number of VVIP and priority queue purchases, right, and even if I'm queue number 1 in the normal queue, I have to be really very realistic, because I already tell my buyer, if today, even if you get queue number 1, you are looking at 593, and you go and match the number of supply in the 2 bedrooms and 3 bedrooms for Emerald of Katong, what are the chances that there is cheap units left when it is actually in the normal queue turn? So it's more wise to actually look at your other options, I would say, rather than looking at Emerald Katong only. Unless you can increase your budget to even the 4 bedrooms or 5 bedrooms, then I think definitely you stand a very good chance of still getting a unit. But today, if you are looking at the 1-bedder, 2-bedder, and the 3-bedder that is a smaller one, very likely the chances of you getting a cheap one is not going to be too much. That's all I can say. Yeah. And you better hope that a lot of these bulk purchases or VVIP agent purchase, they already bought at Chuan Park or even go for Nawa Grove. If they're all gunning for Emerald of Katong, right, then of course you have to factor in that they are actually gonna be in front of you. So right now, I'll be studying the buyer's behavior for Chuan Park itself. So this one, I took really a lot of time to record and then do up the slides. So I hope that if you guys really found this useful, do leave a like and subscribe for my channel, as it will help me grow and reach out to more people that will benefit from this information itself. Okay, so this was the estimated Chuan Park booking day, the sequence, which was at Propnex level 18. This is for my company. So you can see, basically in the morning, right, before 10 a.m, you'll be looking at the VVIP agent or ex-owners for Chuan Park. Then they will be making the purchase, right? So even though your queue number was 1 to 80, right, there was already a couple of units being sold because this is before the priority queue, this is before the normal queue. Yeah, so this is something that you have to take note and what to expect for Emerald of Katong as well. Yeah, so you see, initially the flow is like this. Of course, there is some delays on the actual day itself, but overall the flow is like that. And actually the day, right, ended close to around 11 p.m. 11 p.m., 12 midnight like that. So it was quite late and it didn't really follow this sequence that tight, but this is a guide, so you will know what to expect for Emerald of Katong as well. Okay, so right, I really took a lot of time to record this detail. So I took screenshots of every hour to see what are the buyers buying for Chuan Park. And then this is how it's gonna happen for Emerald of Katong as well. I am very sure the same thing will follow suit. Okay, so just to take note, right, the VVIP session actually had some delay. So you can see for the VVIP, right, it was from 9 a.m. all the way until around 11 a.m. Then it started to clear up. Then at 12 p.m., right, then the first 100 in the queue started to get called. So let's look deeper as to what happened at Chuan Park for the VVIP. So at 9 a.m., right, you can see we are looking at about 48% sold already, 5% units sold. 48 units sold, 5% sold. Then you can see 6 units for the 2 bedrooms, 2 plus study 11, 3 bedroom 28, 4 bedroom 2 and 5 bedroom 1. So they never split the 3 bedroom unfortunately, but I do know that majority of the 3 bedrooms being sold are actually the smaller 3 bedrooms. It was a 3 compact. Then as we go into 10 a.m., right, you see we have about 9% sold, 90 units sold. And then over here you can see 12 units for the 2 bedrooms, 25 units for the 2 plus study, 49 units for 3 bedrooms, 3 units for 4 bedrooms, and 1 unit for the 5 bedroom. So you can see the movement over here. Additional 6 units, additional 14, additional about 21, and then 1 more unit, and the rest, the bigger units never move lah. Yeah, I think so for this, you can already tell that the 3 bedrooms was moving quite fast, especially for the smaller one. And this is only for the VVIP priority queue purchase. And then now we look at 11 a.m. So 11 a.m. you can see over here, 11 a.m. we are looking at about 15% sold, and we are looking at 139 units. So over here we have 23 units for the 2 bedrooms, 2 plus study 41, 3 bedrooms 69 units, 4 bedrooms 5 units, and 5 bedrooms 1 unit. So majority of the units moving, right, are still in the 3 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms over here. So this is something for you to take note when you go into Emerald Katong, to expect the same thing as well. And then when we hit around 12 o'clock, you see because of the delay, right, by right the first 100 should be at earlier timing, but they only started at around 12 o'clock. So for that, you see by the time we hit the first 100, right, we're already looking at almost 19% sold, and we are looking at 174 units being sold already. And do take note that before the first 100 actually started, the developer already increased price once, so increased price over here. So do expect the same thing happening for Emerald of Katong, especially if the sales is going very well, even during the VVIP purchase already. So by the time it hits the normal queue, right, you see 31 units sold for 2 bedrooms, 54, 83, 5 and 1. So you already can see quite a few units being sold, and available units are getting lesser and lesser already, and this is at the Q100 only. It's not even talking about you already gone through 400-500 people. It's still at the first 100. Okay, then now we look at 130. 130, right, you see 130, 28% sold, 258 units. If you just based on timing, right, I would think you maybe thought like, wow, is it a lot of people drop out? Why is it moving so slow? But actually it's because there's a delay on the actual day itself. I think people needed more time to think, and at the same time there was some technical difficulty. So it wasn't really the queue was moving slow. It was just that there was a delay on the developer side. So that's why the number of units sold doesn't correlate with the number of checks at the current time. So 44 units, 79 sold, 122, 12 and 1. So you can see the flow of the units. So at this point, right, I think it was around 2 p.m. you can see the number of units sold almost 30%, and then 273 units sold. So at this time, I think the developer increased the price second time. So when the developer increased the price second time, you can see the number of units sold: 45, 82, 133, 12, and 1. So over here, when we look at 3 p.m., you see we have already sold 36% and 333 units. So now we have 57, 96, 164, 14, and 2. So you can see the jump after 1 hour, right? 30 plus units sold for the 3 bedrooms, and if you combine the 2 bedrooms and 2 plus study, actually the number of units sold for these 2 bedrooms was already slowing down compared to 3 bedrooms. 3 bedrooms was still moving pretty fast for this past 1 hour. And then at around 4:30 p.m. was queue number 700. So this gives you a perspective of how fast the check was actually moving. Because do take note that for Chuan Park, there was a total of 2,800 checks, and at 4:30 p.m. we are still only at about 700. Over here, 44% sold and 407 units sold at 4:30. So over here, you can see 67, 119, 201, 17, and 3. Okay, and then now we look at 5 p.m. So 5 p.m. we are looking at 48% sold, 443 units sold, 73, 133, 216, 18, and 3. And then now we look at 7 p.m. So 7 p.m. the queue number was around 1,002 already. So you can see it's picking up because majority of the buyers was either priced out already on the 2 bedrooms or the 3 bedrooms, that they couldn't buy anything else really. So the queue number was moving slightly faster here. So 56%, 521 units at 7 p.m. 86, 157, 249, 25, and 4. So at this point, right, the developer, once it hit the 50%, from what I heard, they also increased price. 50% they increased price again. So this is the third time already. Okay. Then at 8 p.m., 61% sold, 561 units sold. 2 bedrooms, 88, 171, 270, 28, and 4. And then when we hit around 10 p.m., the developer increased price again. So I think they are just going purely by percentage. So here we are looking at almost 71% sold, 650 units sold. So here 93, 202, 309, 38, and 8. So you can see, right, in the past 2 hours, from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m., right, quite a lot of units already started to move for the bigger one. Like you see for the 3 bedrooms, right, we're still looking at a healthy 30 plus units being sold. 2 bedrooms very slow already because I think majority of people getting priced out. So only 5 units moving here. And then 2 plus study was still okay, about 20 plus units. And 10 units for 4 bedder and 4 units for 5 bedroom. Okay, the 5 bedroom take up rate was quite surprising for me because usually for 5 bedrooms, right, I would imagine buyers don't have to chiong one, and they can wait until almost TOP they buy, right, the unit will still be there one. But I was quite shocked that there was already 8 units for the 5 bedroom for the 5 bedroom being sold, even at 10 p.m. itself. Okay, so at the end of the day, they closed shop at around 11:30, and we had a very, very strong 76% sold and 701 units being sold for Chuan Park itself. So I think this was a very, very impressive number. And seeing that the developer actually didn't launch that cheap, right, I think this was a very strong statement of the buyer sentiment in the current market right now. Okay, so I purposely do out all this data, right, because I never see really people talk about all these things, and I hope that you guys found it useful for Chuan Park. By analyzing Chuan Park, then at least you know what to expect for Emerald of Katong. So if you really like this kind of data, right, at least you can leave in the comments section, or you can leave a like and subscribe so that I know this is what my potential viewers are looking out for, and this is the useful data that they can make a better and more informed decision. If not, then I also don't know what is good content for you guys, or what is something that you guys prefer. Maybe you can let me know and I see what I can improve on. Okay, so now we look at the Chuan Park remaining units post launch. So you see right now their cheapest 2 bedroom, right, already at 1.9 million, and it's a starting PSF of 2751 PSF. Then for the 3 bedrooms, cheapest one 2.44 million, 936 square feet, PSF 2607. 4 bedrooms, 3.33 million, PSF we are looking at 2494 PSF. Okay, so right now I'll be covering the ballot number strategy for Emerald of Katong itself. So you can see right over here, I got write down 3,600 checks collected and then about 600 units. 600 checks is for the VVIP priority one. So when you see from here right, I go and count the total number units at Emerald of Katong right. You see for the 2 bedrooms 145, 2 plus study 143, 3 bedrooms 101, 3 plus study 139, 3 bedrooms 42. So based on this rough estimate right, I think here is about 300. Then maybe here is another like 300 also lah, let's say. So ballpark right, we are looking at about 500 plus 600 plus units. So do take note that that's why I just now mentioned, if really your queue number is not even in front right, chances are you won't really get a very good entry price for the units really. Okay, so right now post VVIP right, units sold at Chuan Park. Okay, I'll be covering majority on the 2 bedrooms and 3 bedrooms because if your budget is 4 and 5 bedrooms you still got enough units to buy one. Like you don't really have to be afraid even if your number is behind. Okay, so for Chuan Park itself, you see post VVIP right, we are looking at 23 units, 2 bedrooms sold, 2 plus study 41, and total of 3 bedrooms is 69 units sold. Then Chuan Park post queue number 200 right, we are looking at 44, 79 and 122. And then post 600, 67, 119, 201. Then as we progress through the day, post queue number 1100, 86, 157, 249. Q 2000 93, 202, 309. Then at the end of the day, we are looking at 2,800 checks, 97, 225 and 328. So these are the numbers you need to bear in mind, and I can tell you right why Chuan Park the conversion rate wasn't that high. You see right, even at 2,800 check right, the number of units sold throughout the day, I would say the dropout rate was about, I think for every 1 unit that purchased, about 60% didn't buy. So it was about 33% like that. Yeah, so I would say why this happened at Chuan Park was because they kind of released the price a little bit higher than what most people expected. Of course, if your budget permit, you have already gotten a unit, but I mean, do expect the same thing happening for Emerald of Katong as well. So that's why I told my client, most likely you have to expect Emerald of Katong starting from 2,600 PSF range. So this is what I would estimate lah. So I just want to share what happened for my client itself, right? So her queue number that she got was in a 1,300 range. Wasn't the best, but to be honest, it's already the top 50%. So the number of checks 2008 1.3k, to be honest, is not bad already. Okay, so I will be sharing more on what happened exactly for my client and how I advise her accordingly. Okay, so storytelling time. My client right initially was looking to buy a 2 bedroom, and then the queue number was in the 1,003 range. So eventually when our turn was reached right, the remaining 2 bedroom units was in the 2.6k PSF, and the 2 plus study was in the 2.5k PSF. So this was already around 7 p.m. timing, and it was estimated about 50% sold. So the price also increased 2 to 3 times already. So based on the price right, the 2 bedrooms was still within reach, but it was on the higher side for the PSF already, because based on our stress test when we use the seasons view to Jadescape calculation, this was out of our stress test. So I also recommended my client that this was definitely on the higher side. And then 2 plus study right was slightly out of reach based on price itself, but PSF was still within our threshold. So the buyer had the option to buy for the 2 plus study. Okay, it was lower PSF but it will needed to loan from her parents. So she actually asked me a very important question. If I were her, what I would do? So I gave her very frank advice, because for me right, I also don't preach for my clients to make financial decisions, especially when buying a property, to borrow for the down payment some more. So one thing to take note is buying properties while maxing out your finances, right, I really feel is a very poor decision because I don't think this is what it takes to be a good investor and a savvy property buyer. And also, if you want to borrow money to even buy a property, right, I really don't think it makes sense anymore. You are already on the FOMO kind of stage. So definitely, I told my client to try to take a step back and think about it. Is this really what you want to do? So why I also advise against this, right? Because it leaves you vulnerable in case of like loss of job, touch wood, or other unforeseen circumstances when it comes to your family, maybe for yourself. This kind of thing you'll never know one. So you definitely don't want to max out your finances at this current point to leave yourself vulnerable, because I think in the end, right, when it comes to property purchase, holding power is very, very important. As we can see over the years, most of the time in Singapore, right, if you buy a decent enough property, you will still make money one. But what really separates those that didn't really make money in the property market from those that made a lot is that some of them, they are forced to sell. So when you're forced to sell, right, you sell in distress. One thing is you don't really get the price you want. And second thing is you never hold long enough, right, for the market to do its long-term performance. So you can see, right, imagine those people that maybe because of COVID, they lost their business, lost their job, right? They got left out of the entire property bull market that hit the entire Singapore private and HDB market there. So that one, right, you see, imagine if you are forced to sell at that point of time, you already lost out like I think 20% growth for that short 3-4 year period. So it's really very important, and you maybe that time you can buy a 3-bedder, then now for the same budget you only can buy a 2-bedroom. So that's why holding power, I still preach, is the number one priority you need to have as a property investor or purchaser in today's market. Okay, so on top of all this, like in terms of personal finances and expenses kind of advice, right, what I told my client on the other considerations that we need to have is also to strategize how is Emerald of Katong gonna turn out. So of course, Q number, right, we don't know if it's gonna be better or if it's gonna be worse. But from what I felt on the ground, right, because a lot of people actually didn't buy Chuan Park in the end, so Emerald of Katong, the check, right, I already estimated will be a lot more, which is actually true. From what we see, right, is 3,000 plus check. So it's definitely a lot more than Chuan Park. So even if you minus the 700 units, right, it is still, if you compare the number of units available to the number of checks available, it's still oversubscribed by 4 times. It's a lot. So at 7 p.m, I was already forecasting for Chuan Park, right, we will be expecting around 65% sold minimally, and the average PSF of from 2.5 to 2.6. So for this, right, I also advise my buyer, how will Sim Lian, which is the developer for Emerald of Katong, price their units? I don't know if they will actually repeat the same thing as Chuan Park. Like for example, 1 or 2 units in the guide price, and then everything else is 100k and above. And there is nothing wrong for a developer to do that. They are businessmen. Do remember, they are businessmen. And today you are selling, let's say, your own whatever goods or your clothes, all this, and you know that the market is so oversubscribed for this particular one, right? Do you think you will actually price it higher to get more profits? I don't know about you guys, but for me as a developer, if I'm a developer today, definitely I'll price higher, because there is, even though they so-called price it higher, right, actually it's not high enough for the market to turn away. It still had a 76% impressive sales performance. Okay, so I see Chuan Park already likely to have a very strong sales performance. So all these factors in, my buyers also will have to take into consideration, because even if they walk away from Chuan Park today, will they be able to get something at Emerald of Katong and it is still within their budget range? I think these are 2 very big question marks that we might not be able to know, but we can estimate from what we see over here. So a few more things I added was that Emerald of Katong might not launch cheap at all, and I would expect $2,600 per square feet as well, and on average, so we're looking in the range higher. I don't think you should be surprised if we are looking at Emerald of Katong. And at 1.8 million quantum to 1.9 million quantum, is there better deals in the market right now for 2 bedrooms? So this is, of course, you need to look at maybe the surrounding new launches, or is there other new launches in the west, in the north, all these things you need to take into consideration, okay? And also, right now, I told my client, it's always best to not FOMO because there is always upcoming launches. You see, there's Ori, which is near Braddell MRT, Park Town Residences, which is at Tampines area. But will they actually launch cheap? I feel like the Ori, right, they might not even launch cheap because if you see the sales performance from Chuan Park, if they price something similar or higher, I would feel like they will have buyers from Toa Payoh, all this. They will still go for those units one. And Tampines, we all know, is a very, very popular area for Singaporeans, especially the Easties. They will also still buy Parktown Residences one. So will they actually launch cheap? Okay, so in the end, after my grandfather's story, right, what did my buyer actually do? So after I told her to take a step back and then try to evaluate right her other options with a cool mind, because I told her making poor decisions is much worse than making no decision. And today, if you never buy, right, you're actually not exposed to any risk, ma. And I also always believe, like with my clients, right, I want to maintain a long-term relationship. And today, if my client enter at a slightly higher PSF, they might not be able to profit as much, and as a result, I also cannot help them sell their unit in the future. So definitely, I do believe in today's, if you're making a better decision, it will help me overall as well. And one more thing is, for let's say my client, right, if she really wanted to buy for own stay at Chuan, the Lorong Chuan area or even the Katong area, right, if you watch my previous videos, you do know that there is an upcoming Chuan Grove plot that is coming up. Although it might not be the best in terms of the land size or this, or maybe it might be slightly more expensive, but you might be still able to get something there which is not paying at a higher PSF. There's always that chance. And at the same time, like Katong area, they also have 2 more plots coming up. Of course, we don't know when it will be, but if you feel like that is a possible option, or even like Tembusu Grand, all this, you don't have to necessarily FOMO on the actual day itself. It might be always better to look at post-launch units, because from there you can make a very calm decision and you already study the surrounding PSF ma. So not necessarily always buying at launch day, right, will give you the best return on investment. So I think this is very important. And in the end, right, my buyer actually walked away lah, because I did tell her we still can look at Emerald Katong, because Emerald Katong we have a chance to still get a unit that is still within her budget. If not, right, we can look at the post-launch for other developments, or even at the Ori or the upcoming Parktown Residences. So I really think today you need to work out what is your strategy, whether this is your walkaway price, whether this is your budget, and don't last minute increase your finances just because you want to get something. I think this is a very poor decision making, and I can tell you, right, a lot of people, especially on the Chuan Park day itself, made very, very poor decisions. You know why? Because, right, throughout the day, I can tell you there was so many bounce out units, and at night, there was already buyers that I think there was 10 plus units that the buyer bought, right, then they forfeit so means they forgo 1.25%. So I think this is something that I really don't think you need to go through as a buyer, because that's really very poor decision making and a lot of FOMO. Yeah, so I would want you to avoid that if really possible, and just be mentally prepared of what's to come at Emerald of Katong. Try not to put the 5% if you're really not sure or you feel like very stretched. Just take a step back and think if this is really what you want. Yeah, because I think in the end, even if you really get a unit, but if your finances too stretched, then I don't think it will be a happy purchase. It'll be a very stressful one. And I always believe that property purchase should be, in the end, a happy one, that you really get something you want. Instead of, in the end, you buy already, it becomes a very stressful problem for you. Alright, so this one is the Emerald of Katong's indicative prices, right? Then now, I want to do a deep dive for Emerald of Katong's 1 bedroom. So over here, the top part, this one, right, it is the Tembusu Grand units sold. So for the 1 plus study, right, 5 to 7 square feet, you can see Tembusu Grand, they sold at minimum of 1.248 million, minimum PSF 2366, and then the maximum price we are looking at 1.472, max PSF of 2.7 million. And now the remaining stock at Tembusu Grand, right, we're looking at 1.4 million and 2.6k PSF. So how I calculated for, okay, so this one is Emerald of Katong's one. So how I calculate, right, this, you can see this green color one, right, I added about 5% from the Tembusu Grand's cheapest PSF. So when I advise my clients, anything below this 25 PSF range, right, is a no-brainer to buy already, because you are actually buying cheaper than what the buyers bought at Tembusu Grand. Okay, and then the red color, right, which is over here, it will be the max PSF for what Tembusu Grand buyers bought. So when you have all these prices of the range in place, you already know that, oh, today if you are buying in the 2.9k PSF, I'm not saying that you won't make profits, but the chances of you making profits might be less compared to those that enter in the green range, which is over here. And of course, anything here in between will be the buffer. Yeah, so this is something for you to take note, and at least you have a range of the guide prices. And of course, if today you are entering lower, right, then you already know that you have a neighbor that is paying almost 200 plus K to 300K higher than you. And then now we look at the Emerald of Katong's 2 bedrooms. So same thing, the first part over here, which is the top half of this screen, we are looking at the 2 bedrooms sold at Tembusu Grand. So you can see 667 square feet, 1.55 million, 2.3k PSF, and the maximum of 1.8 million to 2.7k PSF. And the supply at Tembusu Grand sold out already for the smaller 2 bedroom. Then the 2 plus study, 743 square feet, 1.787 million, 2.4k PSF. Same thing, max price 2 million, 2.7k PSF. So here there's still remaining stock, and I think this is quite attractive. So today, if you really feel like your ballot number not good and you potentially want to go for the Tembusu Grand unit, you can also drop me a message. I can definitely bring you there to do analysis as well. And minimum price we're looking at 2.1 million, 2.3k PSF. So same thing, I color coded, right? The green color will correspond to the previous PSF that we are looking at for Emerald of Katong and Tembusu Grand. So you can see 2.4k, I will be using this 2.3k PSF lah. Then for this 2.5k, right, I used the 2.4k and I added about 5% buffer. Okay, so you can see here, same thing, the red color range is because 2.7k, then the red color range 2.7k PSF. So in the end, when you come to Emerald of Katong, we'll be looking at a max PSF of about 2.8k PSF. So of course, this one really depends on individual. Not saying that anything beyond 2.8 cannot buy, because we already see what is happening at Chuan Park. Buyers are already accepting at this price. 2.9k really depends on individual, but I would say I would advise my client to cut off at around 2.8, because the bulk of the mid or the safe entry price, as proven by Tembusu Grand, we'll be already looking at 2.8k. And if today you can hit 2.8k PSF, right, why not you consider Tembusu's Grand 2.3k PSF? Even though the quantum is slightly higher, PSF is more attractive and a much more safer entry price. Okay, so right now we look at Emerald of Katong's 3 bedroom price. Okay, first half we are looking at is the Tembusu Grand's sold units. So 990 square feet, 2.28 million, 2.3k PSF, maximum price of 2.55 million, max PSF 2.5k PSF. And then for the bigger units, 1173 square feet, 2.7 million, 2.3k PSF, maximum price 2.9 million, almost 3 million, and then 2.5k PSF. So the remaining units at Tembusu Grand, right, actually you still got 2.6 million, 2.2k PSF, 2.6 million, and 2.3k PSF. So I think definitely if today you are getting priced out of Emerald Katong for the remaining units, do consider Tembusu Grand as well. Then over here, same thing, color coded. Green color corresponds with the PSF which is at Tembusu Grand lah. So this one is all for Emerald Katong's one. Then 2.4k, 2.4k, and then we'll be looking at the upper limit of 2.7, 2.7, and 2.7. So all this, I think, as I said previously, there is no right or wrong when you buy at 2.7k PSF or higher, because if you must take into account, right, that these are the remaining new supply in this area. We don't know if the future land plots, there's the 2 that is coming up, one above Tembusu Grand and one below Emerald of Katong. We don't know if they'll be pricing higher. Very likely, if the interest rate, all these are coming down and buyers are so aggressive, right? And I feel this will give developer a lot of confidence to bid higher for the land. So I do expect the lands at the Tembusu area, Tanjong Katong area, right, will actually go up. So this is what I expect moving forward lah. Yeah. Okay, so last but not least, we have the 4 bedrooms for Emerald of Katong. So over here, 1432 square feet, minimum 3.33 million. And then we are looking at a minimum PSF of 2.3k PSF and maximum price of 3.5 million, 2.5k PSF. Remaining units still for sale at Tembusu Grand, still very attractive at 2296 PSF and 3.2 million. So you see for Tembusu, for Emerald of Katong's 4-bedroom types, same thing. I've color coded by 2.4, 2.4, 2.4, 2.7, 2.7 and 2.7. So I think of course this one, if you want to determine the price gap, which one has the biggest price gap, right? You can also go and do the math because all my numbers are over here, but I've already done it for my clients. Yeah, so I can tell you for each bedroom types, I already know which price gap is the biggest. So it's all over here actually. Okay, so yeah, I think that's it for my majority analysis for the different bedroom types between Tembusu Grand and Emerald of Katong. Okay, so right now I've come to the end of my video and I hope you guys really have some valuable takeaways from this. If today you found that my video, my sharing, my data was useful for you, do leave me a like and subscribe to my channel because I'll be doing more of this every week. And fret not if you didn't actually get a unit at Emerald of Katong and Chuan Park because we have an upcoming launch which is the Ori, which is very near Ballot MRT station. So for this, we'll be looking to launch next year. And if you want to find out my analysis for the Ori itself, you can feel free to give me a WhatsApp. You can scan the QR code to secure our VIP preview soon because we'll be looking to launch next year basically. And I think this is going to be quite exciting because from what I see for the checks for Emerald of Katong 3,000 plus, right, there is going to be at least 2,000 buyers that is disappointed. So very likely they'll be aiming to look at the Ori or even at Parktown Residences at Tampines. So do stay tuned because I'll be doing an analysis for all this. But if you want to find out more personalized advice for you and also how I advise my clients, what is the walkaway price, all this, feel free to drop me a WhatsApp. And yeah, that's it for today, guys. Wish you all the best for the booking day at Emerald Katong and Nama Grove as well as the other projects. Alright, bye.